Light scandal, man. What's up, YouTube? Check this out. Diddy P's ex, Cassie Ventura, testifies in rapist sex traffic trial. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, man, because I'm in the Philippines right now, right? But when I get home, I'm gonna give myself a week. I was saying 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks or a week, and then I'm going up to New York, man. I think it's like a 4-hour drive to get there. I haven't decided on if I'm gonna drive. Maybe I'm gonna drive there. I'm gonna call a couple of friends of mine. Maybe they can go up there with me for 3 days. Yeah. If I drive my car, then I can drive and park somewhere downtown for this whole court case thing for 3 days. I can't do no more than 3 days and be there to get some unique raw footage and talk. Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. Come on, I'm gonna be part of the press. Yeah, I'm gonna be the press up in New York, and I'm gonna bring it back to the channel. So hey, y'all might want to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, baby, because this case gonna go on for 2 years. That's what I said. Uncle Mike been saying 2 years. They've been slowing things down, but they sped it up a little bit. They sped it up because the day is not even Wednesday yet. Here in the Philippines, y'all, it's the 13th, so y'all call it what y'all want to call it. It's y'all sleep right now. Oops. Oh man, they probably asked for something. Wait a minute. Oh man, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. God dang it, I gotta do some other things. I got too much to do, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Scandal, man. Shout out to them. They rocking and rolling. 25,000 subscribers. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe to them. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe to you, dear. Hey, Scandal, we need to talk. I should hook up with her. I need to hook up with somebody. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Miss my echo, miss my studio and everything. Let's check this bad boy out. Here we go, man. Here we go.
Star witness Cassie reveals bombshell freak-off details. From Diddy allegedly peeing on her to how much baby oil was used per session.
Wait a minute. Diddy? You see what I'm saying? Did Diddy use the bathroom on her? Or one of the workers used the bathroom on her or in her mouth. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out, man. I'm with y'all. I am with y'all, man. I don't know. Wait a minute. Are you sure? This guy used the bathroom. He used the bathroom on her.
Cassie reveals bombshell freak-off details.
This crazy.
From Diddy allegedly peeing on her to how much baby oil was used per session. This is Scandal, presented by Law and Crime. I'm 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦.
There's no way.
Okay, if we thought the first part of Cassie's testimony was compelling, I don't even know what to say about the second part, wrapping up day 2 in the P. Diddy sex crimes trial. P. Diddy, of course, faces multiple charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He's pleaded not guilty, and his trial's happening as we speak in federal court. The bad news there, no cameras. We have to make do with those courtroom sketches. However, we do have the next best thing. It's Law and Crime reporter Elizabeth Milner. She describes for us everything that's going on in the courtroom because she's been there every single day. So let's ask Elizabeth for a description. For instance, Cassie's testimony. What was it like? Or what happened when P. Diddy saw her?
Yeah, it was definitely a moment a lot of us were kind of expecting. We were all thinking it was going to be like a pin drop moment, but really it kind of happened within the blink of an eye of her coming in to the courtroom. So essentially, she walks inside the courtroom. She's wearing a long brown dress. She is very, very visibly pregnant to a point where I thought, oh my goodness, just stand by, everyone. It was, that was very apparent. That was very obvious. So she kind of walked in.
Yeah, I was great to say, looking at this picture right here, she looked like she pregnant. Mm-hmm. This is Cassie. I'm talking to my fiance, who don't want to be on camera for some reason. She's pregnant. I mean, she don't look like she's pregnant. She look like she pregnant as hell. She pregnant as shit.
Kind of happened within the blink of an eye of her coming in to the courtroom. So essentially, she walks inside the courtroom. She's wearing a long brown dress. She is very, very visibly pregnant to a point where I thought, oh my goodness, just stand by, everyone. It was, that was very apparent. That was very obvious. So she kind of walked in. It's not like she was smiling necessarily or looking at familiar faces that she may have known in her past, i.e. Diddy's family, and waving at them. That was not the case at all. She kept laser focused. She walked just straight to the witness stand. She had kind of escorts take her over there, but she didn't look in Diddy's direction from what I could see. I didn't see her once kind of look over or give him an eye or a look or anything like that. She just walked immediately to the witness stand. She raised her right hand. She swore the oath to testify, and even for the duration of the the duration of her testimony today, for the most part, I didn't even catch her glimpsing at the defense table. For the most part, she kept laser focused on Emily Johnson as Emily Johnson was asking her questions. Probably the only people outside of Emily Johnson and possibly even her husband that she was eyeing in the courtroom was probably little moments at the jury, when they came in back from their breaks or a quick bathroom break and that type of sort, and it was just a very kind of faint smile, and so for the most part, from what I could see of her, it didn't seem like she kind of paid Diddy any type of mind. But you can only guess how she's feeling being inside that courtroom. Us as reporters, we're all jotting down these notes. Diddy's family's inside that courtroom listening to all of this testimony. Then you have Cassie's side of the family, who's inside that courtroom as well. That even including her husband Alex, as well as her brother. I believe her mother was inside that courtroom as well too, as well as Cassie's attorney Doug Wigder. So for the most part, I didn't see her, even when she had exited the courtroom, even looking at the defense's side or anything like that. And so she was there to do what she had needed to do, and that was to testify. To me, I wasn't catching that she was there really for a reunion or any type of sorts. But it's interesting because, according to the defense, the last time Diddy and Cassie were in a room together or in the same vicinity as each other was Kim Porter's memorial back in 2018. That's what the defense said in their opening statement yesterday. And so, this was a moment that I'm sure she had waited for a long time, probably didn't want to be very close to giving birth or anything like that while she's taking the stand. But, it's been a long time since Diddy and Cassie were in the same room with each other, let alone the same vicinity as each other.
Lots more to come from Elizabeth, so put a pin in that. And by the way, more to come too when we get the transcripts from all of this. At the time of this recording, they have not yet been released. So for now, I'll give you an overview of what Cassie told jurors on direct. She alleges that Diddy controlled her. Pretty much everything, from her career, her personal life, down to her appearance. He told her allegedly how to style her hair or how to look. According to reports, this is what Cassie said on the stand, quote, "My appearance was very important to him. It was pretty immediate. Some days he would want me to be really sexy, and other days like a tomboy. He was just very involved in it. I had to look a certain way during freak-offs. Definitely my self-worth took a hit during the entirety of the relationship." Here's Elizabeth on the first part of today's testimony to kind of give you a recap.
The questioning was done by Emily Johnson. One of the first few questions that Emily Johnson had asked Cassie was, how old are you? So Cassie is now 38 years old. So I say that just in the context of when she met Diddy. She met Diddy around 2005. That was 20 years ago. The prosecution and even the defense had said that she was just 19 years old when she had met Diddy. And she had said she had signed with Bad Boy in 2006, and she had signed actually a 10-album deal. She said she knew Diddy and remembered him. Well, I say Diddy, but she referred to him as Sean throughout her entire testimony. But she knew who she called Sean as somebody who was larger than life, but didn't necessarily know too much about him personally. So, the prosecution was asking, when did she release her album? That was in August of 2006. But then, surprisingly, no more albums came after that. Remember, she signed a 10-album deal, yet it was only one album that was released, as well as a mixtape too. But she said, after she had signed with Bad Boy, their relationship relationship was pretty platonic, and this is when we in the gallery, as well as the jurors too, were shown photos of her and Sean together. Another photo from the 2006 BET Awards with Cassie, Kim Porter, Sean Combs, and then another friend, all just kind of posing together on what looked like to be a red carpet. She was asked about Kim Porter specifically, and she said because at this time Kim Porter and Diddy were still technically in a relationship. They were obviously co-parenting together because they had kids together at this point. And so when asked about Kim Porter, Cassie referred to her as Diddy's or Sean Combs' ex, as well as the mother of his children. She said, even after signing with Bad Boy and stuff like that, that she had seen Sean a few times at the clubs. They were shown the jury was shown another photo of a potential witness, that being 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, who was Cassie's best friend around that time frame. Diddy, Cassie, and then another friend on the couch. And this was pretty important. This was from her 21st birthday, and so this was something that was definitely talked about while the prosecution was kind of establishing the foundation between Sean Combs and Cassie. And so during this birthday trip, this weekend, that Diddy had actually kissed her in the bathroom, and that's pretty important because at the time they weren't romantically involved. At this time, Diddy essentially just was an executive at the record label that she had worked at, obviously that being the one he had founded, being Bad Boy Records. And so she said after he had kissed her, it was actually kind of confusing. She said she was pretty young because, again, at that time she was just 21 years old. She said she was a new artist who didn't really know the lay of the land, and she said that she was pretty naive around that time. And she said even after the kiss that she had ran out of the bathroom. And so after the two had kissed on her 21st birthday, they had seen each other a couple of times afterwards, and then even went to visit Sean Combs at the Trump Hotel after she was invited by him specifically. She said that for the most part, Diddy called all the shots of her music career. So when she went over to the hotel, she really thought she was going to be talking about music, talking about her recordings and that sort. So she said she was nervous to visit Diddy at the hotels, but just was essentially excited to talk about her career and where everything was going. But then, that's not what happened in this hotel visit. She said essentially that she was introduced to the concept of oral sex while at this hotel. She said that, Sean Combs had given her oral, and that it made her, that he kind of made her feel crazy for not reciprocating that. And so, she didn't do that because she said she was in a relationship at the time with somebody else. She said she felt sneaky, but she essentially just wanted to be around him because he was exciting, he was entertaining. And she said that, it made her feel kind of special because not everybody was getting that time with Sean Combs. And even just think about that time frame. This was Puffy, this was Puff Daddy, this was Diddy, this was somebody who was a big name. And so from her perspective, I can kind of see a little bit why she was a little excited to kind of go over there again under the guise that she was going to be talking about music, and that's not essentially what had happened. And then the prosecution talked about this trip to Miami, and this trip was also pretty important because this was a trip that they had taken. 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, Cassie's best friend at the time, was there. Dallas Austin, who was a music producer, was there as well too, and she referred to Dallas Austin as a friend. You'll remember Dallas Austin because he was on that People and Places list that the jurors were given during jury selection process. And so she thought initially that she was going to Miami for work, and a flyer was even made about her doing kind of a club appearance, a booking appearance down there. But instead she was having sexual intercourse with Sean Combs on a boat. She said even later that night, that's when she started she took a drug, and that was what they called a blue dolphin pill, was essentially ecstasy. She said she was given the ecstasy actually by Sean Combs, and that she had never taken a drug intentionally before. And she said intentionally because she said she unintentionally accidentally drank a drug from somebody else some other time, but that was the first time she intentionally did it. And again, that was kind of her first introduction to it. She said ecstasy kind of made her feel euphoric. And then us in the gallery, as well as the jurors, we saw photos of Diddy and Cassie on that boat together, and that's the boat where the two first had engaged in sexual intercourse for the first time. And then even after that trip, that's kind of where everything changed. She said essentially that they spent a lot of time together and that she became one of Diddy's girlfriends. Now, at the time, she initially really just thought the two were monogamous because they spent so much time together. And she said even afterwards, you know, they didn't go public for years after that because publicly he was still dating 𝗗𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦.
Okay, let's talk about freak-offs. And
whoa. So Cassie was in the picture as an artist, and this is how it happens. This was the same thing that Jaguar Wright was saying about Jay-Z. That actually Jay-Z, Puffy, and all these other record label people, and I've been accused of this so many times. I've been accused of trying to sleep with people because I know music. I got the studio and trying to bring girls in and try to sleep with them. But Uncle Mike trying to do music. I'm just trying to do music. If you're a female artist, let's do music. If you're a male artist, let's do music. I can play these instruments, man. I'm just trying to do music. I try to do music worldwide. So guess what? I'm going to stop trying and I'm going to do it. But everybody thinks because you got a record label or you got a recording studio, you ain't trying to just do music. You trying to sleep with somebody. Nah, cuz that me and music don't have nothing to do with trying to sleep with somebody. Anyway,
time together.
Let's keep going.
And she said even afterwards, you know, they didn't go public for years after that because publicly he was still dating 𝗗𝗗𝗡𝗞𝗦.
okay, let's talk about freak-offs. And a real quick disclaimer, why I say allegedly, it's because P. Diddy has not been convicted of a crime. Right now, he's on trial, but he's innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, meaning the government, meaning they're the ones who called Cassie. So I have to say allegedly because he hasn't been convicted. So allegedly, these freak-offs were the sex situations in which Diddy or one of his associates...
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
you can talk all this allegedly stuff my tail. That man did something to somebody at some particular time. We can start with Cassie. We can start with Cassie and that hotel tape on top of his sorry apology. That's where we can start at. Now all this other bull y'all talking, all the other bull, go ahead and keep talking it. Go ahead, I'm listening. Let's go.
Would drug someone, a victim or survivor, Cassie potentially at times, then force them to have sex with prostitutes and then record it. Okay, this is basically how it was laid out in the federal indictment. Now, according to Cassie's testimony during these freak-offs, Diddy would make her dress and act in certain ways. For instance, she was required to have white nails or French-tipped nails. She was required to work out to keep up her body specifically for these freak-offs. Actually, according to her testimony, he even suggested at a time she get breast implants. And during all of this, she was required to wear lingerie during these freak-offs. Now, here's what she said while on the stand, quote, "Sean said we would disguise ourselves. I wore a masquerade mask." The freak-offs allegedly started within the first 6 months of Cassie and Diddy's relationship, and at the time she was only 22 years old. She says that Diddy had a fantasy of voyeurism. Here's what she said, quote, "He described it as a fantasy he had, where he would want to see me having sexual interactions with another male so he could watch. I loved him. I didn't want him to think I thought anything bad of him." Cassie describes freak-offs as humiliating and disgusting. And here's a back and forth between her and the federal prosecutors. Cassie says, "I was so high, I didn't feel much, dirty and confusion, and that he was happy with me. Why did you feel you couldn't say no? I didn't want to make him angry or upset after he'd share this part of himself with me." How frequent did the freak-offs become? Weekly for a consistent amount of years. When was your last one? 2017, 2018? How long were you awake during the freak-offs? I never slept. I took drugs, ecstasy and Molly, cocaine. Do you recall all of the freak-offs? That would be impossible. Did you want to stop? Yes, I was humiliated. I didn't have those words then. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. And then she starts to cry, which we'll hear more from Elizabeth about later. Did you tell him you didn't want to? Yes, I brought it up gently. I didn't want him to just do it with someone else. Now, Cassie did get emotional during all of this. It was noted by a lot of the reporters there, including Elizabeth, that she got emotional and then she cried and grabbed a tissue. Specifically, when she was asked about what she liked about Diddy, here's what she said. "When we had one-on-one time, when you care about somebody and love them, you don't want to disappoint them." Cassie also testified more in depth about Freakoff's supplies, what was required. And this is something that goes back to that federal indictment. I mean, the headlines we all saw about 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. So Cassie specifies it was lube Astroglide specifically. She also tells us the brand of baby oil, that it was Johnson & Johnson. And she alleges that Diddy would say things like, "You need to be glistening in this baby oil." That she apparently was supposed to apply it every 5 minutes, and at times they went through up to 10 bottles of baby oil and lube per Freakoff session. She also says that most of these items were provided by Diddy's assistants. Now, she also talked about peeing during all of this, during the Freakoffs. And I guess before I get further on, as I'm reading some of these quotes from testimony, I want to give a disclaimer that it can be disturbing for some people in all of this. All right, so Cassie says in regards to the Freakoffs and peeing, she did not want to be part of it. Specifically, she did not want anything to do with it. The government asked her, "How did it feel?" Cassie replied, "It was disgusting. It was too much. I choked. No one could think I wanted it." "Why were you choking?" "Too much urine in my mouth." "Who else urinated on you?" "Sean." "Did you want Sean to urinate on you?" "I didn't want anyone to urinate on me." "How often did it happen?" "Often enough." Cassie also talked about the drug use.
I don't know. This is what y'all should do. Everybody should do this for a whole week. Go around and ask people, "Yo, you want somebody to urinate on you?" And I don't know. I mean, if you got some real kahunas, you want somebody to urinate in your mouth? Kevin, oh my God, Keith Sweat. Is that the dude's name? I forgot the guy. Not Keith Sweat. Oh man, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna look it up because I can't remember names. But nobody, unless you just are old, yeah, you gotta be old, kinky man. I don't think anybody wants somebody to use the bathroom on them. See, Diddy old, so he fits this description. I don't know. I don't. It's not enough sex in this world to make me want to do some. I ain't think nobody could be as freaky as me. You's a freaky dude, dog. Diddy, if you want to have sex for 4 days, I don't think I want to have sex that long. I don't think I want to do that. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm too old for it, for one thing.
"Did you want Sean to urinate on you?" "I didn't want anyone to urinate on me." "How often did it happen?"
How big, man, you can't have Uncle Mike ain't on the stand, because I can't answer these questions calmly. Did you want Diddy to urinate? Girl, let me tell you something. I don't want nobody. I don't want no monkey, no elephant. I don't want no animal. Who wants pee on them? I don't want this on me. Then why did you do it? Because I was getting beat up. What's wrong with y'all? That's what I'll be saying on it. What's wrong with y'all? Lock his stupid tail up, peeing on people. What's it do? God dang
Often
it.
enough. Cassie also talked about the drug use during all of this. She specifically says that she willingly took drugs so that she could disassociate. She says that she partook in these freak-offs because she cared about P. Diddy. She says she was in love with him. She says she wanted to make him happy, so she did it, but in order to get by, she had to use drugs. And she specifically mentioned things like Special K, GHB, mushrooms. She again said she wanted to use these things so she wouldn't be present. She talks about MDMA and ecstasy too. She says that they made her throw up. Her body didn't have a very good reaction to them. However, Diddy told her to continue even after she threw up. Again, this is all based on Cassie's testimony. Now, Cassie also talked about how she personally reached out to escorts. She says she used Craigslist or Backpage in order.
R. Kelly. That's the dude's name. I could not think of his name to save my daggone life. They used the bathroom on that little girl. See, the younger generation, they don't know no better. You got a super duper star. That's just like Jesus using the bathroom on you. I'm Jesus Christ. And you a holy church going dude. You Jesus? I would do anything. What you want me to do, Jesus? I need to use the bathroom on you. If you holy, you would. Nah, Jesus, I'm down with you, but I don't. Not my Jesus. My Jesus wouldn't ask me to do that. Your body. This is body waste. That's supposed to be disposed of. Is that in the Bible? That should be in the Bible. It's two things: a liquid and a solid comes out the body waste. I don't know why I'm explaining this to y'all, right? But my point is this: it don't supposed to. I mean, putting it on somebody else's body is going to give you pleasure. How? Let's continue, man. Let's go.
Again, this is all based on Cassie's testimony. Now, Cassie also talked about how she personally reached out to escorts. She says she used Craigslist or Backpage in order to procure them, and that Diddy was the person who directed the freak-offs and also recorded them. Okay, I'm going to read more from the witness testimony, and I just want to note, previously in videos, I said I didn't want to read things because I thought that they were graphic. And I'm going to stand by that and give you a warning and say that they are graphic and say that my sister and my mom watch that channel. So thanks to you, all the viewers, for telling me that I should read this. Hi, Mom. Hi, Brooke. Hi, my sister. Here we go. What would happen after the escort finished on you? Sean would want to put it on his body in the next room. Did you do that? I did. Where? Usually on his nipples. Did you want to do that? No. How did you feel? I was an object being heavily objectified by men. Sometimes he would watch by FaceTime. Were some sessions recorded on your devices? Because they were there. If you saw them on your device, what would you do? I would delete them. Why? They were disgusting. I never wanted anyone to see them. Were Sean's devices used sometimes? Yes. I asked him to delete them. Did he? I don't know. Cassie talked about freak-offs. She says she couldn't remember how often they were or how many she took part in. However, she says she left one freak-off one time early, and it was in regards to that infamous CNN video, the assault at the Intercontinental Hotel.
Oh, shucks. Of course, everybody want to talk about this right here. Yeah, so she was leaving early. I'm done. She got on shoes and she looked like she got on shoes, y'all. I don't know. Uncle Mike, though, I mean, I can blow it up, but I swear she looked like she got on shoes right here. Let's keep going.
Here's Elizabeth on those freak-offs.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of graphic details that were a lot to kind of handle. When I was sitting in that courtroom, there were just moments where I was just like, oh my goodness, can we go for a break? Something like that. But again, I kind of have to commend Cassie for, being so calm, cool, and collected. There were emotional moments that she kind of teared up a little bit, and I'll get into that in just a sec. But as far as, these freak-offs, she said there was even prep time, or she had to prep for these essentially. She said that, Sean Combs would make her get her nails done, and they had to be a certain way, and that included white nails or French tips for the freak-offs. She had said that there was even discussion possibly about, breast implants as well too, that he had made comments about her physical shape, her working out, keeping up appearances. She had to get tan, she had to get waxed. So there was a lot of physical preparation when it came to just how she would appear, because according to her, Diddy controlled every aspect of it, from the way she looked, the way she talked, how she even performed within these sessions or freak-offs, because there's even a difference right there, where a session was just inside the freak-off, where it was just like one moment that this encounter would happen, then they would take a break, go on to another moment, and that might not even be the entire freak-off. She said sometimes they would do 3 or 4 sessions just in one freak-off, and so the imagery is just, it was really just a lot. And so essentially, She described it at first as, that Diddy just wanted this to kind of be a fantasy. He wanted to watch, and that Diddy introduced her to this concept of swinging. And so there was a point where, they were talking about it initially as just kind of voyeurism, where Diddy kind of would just watch. She said she was pretty shocked that he was kind of interested in this, but she said she essentially just didn't want to upset him. She said as far as the Freakoffs go, that she was introduced to them in the first 6 months to a year of their relationship that they were doing this together. The other person would normally be a stranger, that being an escort or a male dancer. She was just 22 years old when she was first introduced to it, so very, very young. She said she agreed to even do it because she just wanted to make him happy. She asked why she agreed. She was asked why would she agree to do it, and Cassie at that moment said, "Great question." And so the first freak-off, she said, happened at his LA home in the bedroom. She said they kind of referred to this person as the first escort because she didn't remember his name, thought that he was a stripper from Vegas, knew that the escort was paid to have intercourse with her. She said during her first freak off, she took ecstasy, she drank alcohol even before it had started, something that she had even talked about in her civil claim against Combs that was later settled. They showed a photo to the gallery just of this particular first escort because we didn't even know his name, but it was a black man. He had dreads, he had an earring in his left ear. It looked kind of like a driver's license photo, but even throughout the course of her testimony today, he was just referred to as the first escort. She said that Sean Combs would tell her to wear masks, and she wore heels during this. That Diddy kind of directed everything, including the lighting, putting the oil on the escort and vice versa. So essentially, Cassie and this escort would rub baby oil on each other. And so, I was talking before about kind of the difference between the sessions and the freak-off. So again, those sessions were just kind of a portion of the freak.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, man. Wait a minute. I looked at this from a female's point of view for a second. Thinking that, come on, dude. You're rubbing all this baby oil on everybody to make this one dude nice and happy because you got the power, you got the money. And these people just doing what you tell them to do. Oh, come on, man. Oh, my God. Even the escort, because they want the money. They there to make money. They doing their job. This is crazy, man. I can't believe our world has come to this. I'm sorry, y'all. Let's continue. My bad. I had to take a woosah break.
Baby oil on each other. And so, I was talking before about kind of the difference between the sessions and the freak-offs. So again, those sessions were just kind of a portion of the freak-offs. But these escorts were paid thousands of dollars to do this. She said that she had to, in order to kind of do these freak-offs, she would essentially have to get high just so that way she didn't feel much. But she said that it made her feel dirty. She said that right after her first one, Diddy soon proposed another freak-off. And she felt like she couldn't say no because she didn't want to make him upset, said that he would get angry and his moods would change if she told him no. And then after the first freak off that she had did, they started to become more frequent. And by frequent, she said that they would occur pretty much weekly, and those went on for years. She said her final freak off wasn't until 2017, 2018, which is still relatively close to this time period, kind of right now. She said for the most part, she didn't get much sleep during these freak offs, but drugs kept help her stay awake, such as cocaine, such as Molly, MDMA, or ecstasy as well too, all that were given by Sean Combs. She said Sean Combs would decide, he would be the one to decide when these freak-offs would end. And she said that it was impossible essentially to remember the amount of freak-offs that she even did because she was pretty much doing a whole bunch of drugs, and they were so frequent for the most part. And she said that she felt, humiliated, and that she was all that this was all that she was good for. And this was an important part in the testimony because this was the moment that she started tearing up. She pretty much had testified that she was being objectified during this, that Diddy would get so mad that if she didn't want to participate in this, that his eyes would go black. That's how mad he would get. And she said the only part that she actually liked about the freak-off was just the time that she had spent with Sean Combs, and this being this one-on-one time that the two had with each other. She said that she had wanted Sean to know that the FOs made her, or the freak-offs had made her feel worthless, but essentially that Diddy dismissed her feelings. Diddy called her predictable. There was this one exhibit, an email exhibit that was shown where Cassie, her nickname under this email chain was BG standing for baby girl, and Diddy was referred to as 𝗗𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, which is kind of disturbing in itself because he was named 𝗗𝗡𝗡 after her grandfather, and she thought it was weird and disrespectful, but from Diddy's point of view, this was something that he had allegedly wanted. And so the subject of this email was, "I really need to F," and this message from 𝗗𝗡𝗡𝗞 to baby girl said, "So who you gonna F? Want to call someone?"
Here's how Elizabeth describes the end of Cassie's testimony on day 2, discussing that infamous CNN video.
And so this email was around 2010. And so the response was that she wanted to F him and said, "Are you crazy?" Because essentially when Diddy was receiving these messages, he just essentially assumed it was going to be for a freak-off. That means other people were going to be involved. Whereas from Cassie's point of view, she was kind of making the argument that she just wanted to spend time with her partner at the time, her boyfriend at the time. And so there was kind of a back and forth just about that Cassie had wanted to talk to Diddy about something, and that Diddy had called her predictable because that she didn't want to, assuming that she didn't want to participate in these freak-offs, and essentially that she said that from her standpoint, she didn't want Diddy to think that she didn't want to do it anymore, even though she didn't want to do it anymore, but essentially did it to make him happy. But even throughout these freak-offs, they were talking about disguised identity, that Diddy would wear a hat, he covered his face, he wore a mask. Cassie would even wear a mask, kind of one of those masquerade masks. She would wear a wig, she would wear see-through nets, she would wear very tall heels. She kind of even made the comparison to them being kind of like stripper heels. And essentially those were the disguise portion. The only time that they had kind of taken off the mask, taken off the disguises, was when they felt comfortable enough to do it with an escort. Because you have to remember, around this time, they were a little worried that one of these escorts could possibly be a cop. One of these escorts could possibly be somebody who would go and tell the entire world that they had done something with, Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura at the time. And so she was talking about how these freak-offs happen a lot of different places, including all of Diddy's homes except his home at Maple. Freak-offs happened in her home except her Studio City home. They had freak-offs in New York, in Miami, in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, in Turks and Caicos, in Vegas. And she named the hotels that she could remember doing these freak-offs at, because it wasn't just at Diddy's homes. It wasn't just at Cassie's homes. They were in hotels as well too. And just how the staff would kind of help provide things that they had needed for these freak-offs, such as condoms, such as Johnson & Johnson's baby oil, such as candles, such as lube, such as Astroglide, and that essentially all the participants use baby oil. This seems like a very big preference that Diddy had kind of had. And I know a lot of people kind of make jokes about it, but for the most part, it does seem like a prevalent thing that was very prominent in these freak-offs, and that a lot of bottles of baby oil were used, to the point she said 10 bottles were used in probably one freak-off, which is a lot of baby oil if you really think about it. She said, the Astroglide was used as lube as freak-off, something that she had even talked about in her civil suit against Combs. She said when they had run out of these types of supplies, that the staff would get more, the staff being the assistants would get more, or they would ask the bell desk for more at Diddy's direction. The candles were always lit. There were about 6 to 10 candles inside these rooms. There was even a point that she had mentioned that candle wax would be poured onto her. It would be poured onto Diddy. She said studio lights were later used in these freak-offs, and that they were red and purple and blue. Then we were shown a photo with Diddy. It looked like he was kind of laying on something. According to Cassie, he had a handful of cash in his hand that we couldn't see through this exhibit photo, but he was kind of laying in a red room. And so she said the freak-off rooms were particularly warm, according to her. And then this was kind of one of the more, disturbing points that were talked about through her testimony about them using extra linen not to soil the sheets in these hotel rooms. Why? Because there were points where blood and urine were going to be soiled into these fabrics, essentially. She said that she was even expected to have freak-offs while she was on her menstrual cycle, that Diddy and an escort would urinate on her, and that she didn't want to be urinated on. She said it was a turn on for Combs, but for herself, she felt humiliated going through this, said it was overwhelming. She said at one point she began even choking on the urine. And again, these are just very, very hard things to kind of listen to, and me even repeating them, I'm just kind of a little just unwell, just because it's really a lot. I'm not going to even lie to you. And she was saying, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me, and she said this didn't really necessarily happen often, but it was often enough for her. And these were just very humiliating things, and you could tell that she was very soft-spoken throughout her testimony. So it was probably very uncomfortable for her to kind of talk about this, one in an open courtroom, one in front of Diddy, as well as even her husband and her brother and her mother, who were all inside that courtroom. And she was very soft-spoken throughout this, but essentially that the staff would clean up the aftermath of these events. They would be charged thousands of dollars just for the damage that were done to it. She said she was high on drugs during these while she was being urinated on. She said she didn't say no because she thought it was obvious that she didn't want to even do this. So it was a lot of graphic details, a lot of things. And surprisingly, I didn't see much of the jury kind of shake when this kind of testimony was going on. They were very much so kind of looking at Cassie very intently, very much listening to her. I would think that, maybe somebody would get emotional or anything like that. But from what I could see, because my view was also very limited, I will also say that. But from what I could see, the jury didn't really flinch to this very disturbing testimony, this very hard testimony to listen to. But it seemed like they were just kind of absorbing everything that was being testified to. But from their perspective, I didn't see much of a reaction to this. But from us in the gallery, I know a lot of people were just kind of like, whew, this is a lot today.
Day 2 of the P. Diddy trial ended with Cassie still on the stand on direct testimony. So stay tuned for what exact witness testimony was said when we get those transcripts. Promise you. Subscribe now to Scandal, and you will soon find a future Scandal episode where we have the transcript so I can go through and read exactly everything in the very disturbing details that were said in court. Again, make sure to subscribe, and in the meantime, send us any sort of emails you have. Scandal@lawandcrime.com is our email, and we love to read them and hear from you. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Scandal. I'm your host, 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, and I'll see you next time.
Scandal. Hey, that was deep right there, man. They cover the facts. They bring more information than anybody else I have covered. The channels and everything. I think that I need to get in touch with them, man. No doubt. I really need to get in touch with them and let them know that, yo, man, I'm trying to be a part of y'all team, because y'all come in with some facts. I'm going up to New York when I get back home. I just want to let y'all know that. Look here. I'm going to get on up out of here. Breaking news. Suge Knight snaps and said Diddy made Tampa. Oh man, wait a minute. Let me do this. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Hey, tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.